Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Folks, we got a case that is some of the most difficult cases that police can ever work, and that's anywhere in this world. And of course, we see on the screen Sebastian Rogers, a 15-year-old autistic male from Sumner County. He's been missing since February 16th when his mother at 6 o'clock in the morning went to check on him in his bed, and he was gone. And he hasn't been seen since that date. Quite disturbing, because in these cases, the success rate of finding someone is usually when you find them quickly, right? The first few days, the first 24, 48 hours after the person goes missing. And as this has stretched into 5 weeks, he went missing on February 26th, it's really disheartening that there's no sight of him. There's no evidence of him. A recent blurb went out saying that potentially they found some glasses that belonged to him. And the sheriff's office just announced that they did not belong to him. I'm sure the glasses were DNA tested to make sure that there was no chance whatsoever that they could make that mistake, rather than having just saying, oh, those are his glasses. I'm sure they tested them for DNA, and that definitively will knock that lead out. So then what do the police do now? The police is saying in this case that there is no foul play. And on the screen now you see a picture of Katie and Chris Proudfoot. They are Chris Proudfoot is the stepdad and Katie is the mom of Sebastian. And this is the biological dad, Seth Rogers, on the screen right now. And he's been giving quite a few interviews with different news organizations. But this case is still baffling. And as it stretches on, we all remember Summer Wells, and I had just checked because we covered that case. Summer Wells, 6/15/2021. So this June 15th, if she's not found, will be 3 years that Summer Wells has been missing. So these cases can stretch on. And as I said, when the police or the searchers don't find the person quickly, that is usually an indication that, it could be very difficult to find this person. He's 15 years old. He's autistic. And the police have announced numerous times that they don't see any foul play in this case. So what do we keep doing? How do we keep addressing this? How do we keep searching? What do we keep doing? So guys, hang on to your seats. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. And you're about to enter Off the Cuff, the Police Off the Cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch Michael by there.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
More than a month after 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers went missing from his home in Hendersonville, officials are combing through the neighborhood in a massive operation for clues in his disappearance. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office announced agencies would conduct another thorough search for Sebastian on Wednesday, April 3rd. As many as 200 law enforcement officers combed through the Long Hollow Pike area, walking in grid searches and searching through thickets along creek beds. Officials are not ruling anything out in the search for the missing teen. During a press conference held on Tuesday, Sumner County Chief Deputy Sheriff Eric Craddock said there has been no evidence pointing to foul play in Sebastian's disappearance, but they are not ruling anything out. Officials also revealed that a pair of glasses were found within the past few days. However, the sheriff's office confirmed Wednesday that the glasses were not Sebastian's. That's one of the things, folks, too. You get some of these people on YouTube and on content creators, and immediately they report that as fact. How about you wait till the results of the test come back because it creates so much hysteria when people report something as fact that is not a fact, and give the investigators time to look into it. There's not, in any investigation, you do not get immediate results, especially with evidence. That you need to wait. According to authorities, Wednesday's search was in the works for several days. In a statement, the sheriff's office said there were no new leads to indicate that Wednesday's search would be fruitful, but they're committed to leaving no stone unturned. The search for Sebastian has stretched thousands of miles with volunteer groups and close to a dozen law enforcement agencies, including the TBI, Tennessee Highway Patrol, Nashville Fire Department, City of Hendersonville's first responders, Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and Shackle Island Volunteer Fire, all assisting in the search efforts. And as we know, Sebastian is 5 feet tall. He weighs 120 pounds. He has dirty blonde hair. And he was last seen on Monday, February 26th, near Stafford Court, wearing a black sweatshirt and black sweatpants, according to the TBI. They issued an Amber Alert back then. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation originally issued an endangered child alert for Sebastian on the morning of February 26th, as multiple agencies took to the area to look for him. Based on the additional investigative information developed during the search, the TBI issued an Amber Alert for Sebastian on the afternoon of February 27th. An Amber Alert is issued when there is reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred and a child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. Multiple agencies, including the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Highway Patrol, they're all involved in this search. And I put the number up on the screen before, who to call if you have information. So where the authorities go now? What do they do now? And as I said before, Summer Wells has been missing going on, June will be 3 years. Let's hope that Sebastian does not become a statistic like that, because now is when you have to always keep the pressure on. So what are some of the things that the police should have did day one, early on in this investigation? Number one, respond to the scene. Response to the scene and interview the mother, right? Katie Proudfoot. She's the one that initially reported Sebastian missing. And as most police departments' missing person procedure would be to search the house. Because what if you called in the troops and then Sebastian was found inside the house? So that's procedure number one. Then they got to get, because this is a young boy, 15 years old, with autism, he's what's known as a special category missing person, meaning that we pull out all the stops. We got to find this boy because he's in danger. He's 15. He's got autism. How can he survive outside his house? How can he survive without adults looking after him? So these are some of the things that the police should be doing, and I'm sure they have done. There's a picture up on the screen of Sebastian. Interview, of course, Katie Proudfoot and Chris Proudfoot, and this is the couple we see a picture of them on the screen there. And as of now, and the police are finding nothing that they would consider to be foul play. So in their investigation, the first people, of course, you would look toward would be the parents. And in this instance, you would have Katie and Chris Proudfoot. And then the father, that's the father, Seth Rogers, who has been sort of making the rounds of some of the TV stations and voicing his concern and his opinion about what has occurred. And I've listened to some of his interviews, and he doesn't really, I don't think he really points the finger at his wife. If anything, he may say that she didn't know how to handle an autistic kid. That's the worst thing I heard come out of his mouth, as per his ex-wife. Again, another picture of Sebastian on the screen. But we don't have any other information that there's any type of foul play whatsoever. So we now just have to expand the search. Well, how do we expand it? Well, obviously bodies of water are one of the most important things. And for that, there are specialty searchers, specialty units that take part in that. And should we call those people in? Yeah, I think at this point, well, they probably should have been done already. But early on in this investigation, the search, you keep it as close to the house as possible, because how far did this little boy get? How far did Sebastian get? But they're calling in, of course, volunteers. And what about the investigation of this? Well, tips. 1-800-577-TIPS in New York City, but every jurisdiction has their tip line. Tips would be so important in a situation like this. People calling in, it's the old adage, if you see something, say something. And people see things out there, and the eyes of the community can really help tremendously. I'm going to play this from Court TV, a recent interview, Vinnie Politan here.
About 6 in the morning to get her son Sebastian ready for school. But when she went to his room, he wasn't there. Katie quickly went around the house and could not find him. Where was Sebastian? Panic quickly set in. Katie says she called police and searched around the neighborhood and at school and could not find him. She says his shoes were still at home. His phone was still there too, but a flashlight was missing. Where did Sebastian go? Did he leave in the middle of the night? Why would he leave? These are all questions that have no answers. Police say they don't know where he is. They don't know what happened. All of Sebastian's parents have cooperated, his mother, Katie Proudfoot, his stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, and his dad, Seth Rogers. They also say there's no sign of foul play. But people don't just vanish. Tonight, we speak live with Sebastian's dad. What does he know? What does he suspect? Then we'll also listen to what Sebastian's mom and stepdad have said. Does it all make sense? Tonight, as investigators continue their search, we continue our investigation into the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers.
So there is really no. I've seen the dad, Seth Rogers, being interviewed on several stations, and as you would imagine, he's devastated. He's a broken man. His child is lost, going on 5 weeks, but he's not saying anything that I could see that in any way is pointing the finger at, say, his ex-wife, Katie Proudfoot, or her husband, as if there is foul play here. We're not seeing that. So I find that to be important as far as the investigation goes. Patty Gee, the stepdad appears suspicious and mom appears fearful and controlled, both ill-equipped for an autistic child. The stepdad used a belt on an autistic child. Well, that's Patty Gee. I didn't know that. That's disturbing. If he did do that, I haven't heard that confirmed, but that doesn't mean that they did anything nefarious in regards to. There's no evidence of it. I don't jump to anything until we have some evidence, and we're not seeing any evidence of foul play, and that's coming right from the mouths of the investigators. Rosemary Gallagher, they should get that stepdad to do a polygraph. He said he didn't need to because he was not in the area. I feel that's more reason for it, so they can find out if he has any knowledge of the disappearance. Rosemary Gallagher, not a bad idea, but you can't force anyone to take a polygraph. You can ask them to. If he refuses, you can't you can't force him to do that. Kirsten Wright, child doesn't disappear. No shoes, nothing. No ring doorbells pick him up. I'm convinced the mom has hurt him. Kirsten, you know something? You could be right, but minus evidence, we can't just say. And we're not seeing, if the police see evidence of this, if they see evidence of foul play, surely they will report it. Steph MP, stepdad, admitted to using belt on him, and CPS came to check it out. Okay, so they have a Bureau of Child Welfare or Child Protective Services history. Kirsten Wright, he spoke on Nancy Grace about hanging with a belt, but Nancy Grace also reported that the glasses were his. So I take what she says sometimes with a grain of salt. She reported right out of the box that those were his glasses, that the sheriffs have since said they do not belong to him. So Simi Sharp, maybe not obvious foul play, but things are just too much fishy in my opinion. Rosa Garcia, thank you, at $4.99 super sticker. Yes, there is a CPS case because use of the belt, and Seth said last night in an interview with Vinny that there was another CPS case for SA. I also did not know about that. If these things are coming out now, but then if all of this it's very concerning to the chat. But how come it's not, at this point, concerning to the police who say there's no evidence of foul play here? That's my question.
Trash, because that's his chore. He takes the can to the end of the driveway. About 9 o'clock, told him to go to bed. And he didn't come out of his room where he was playing. And he said, "All right, good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. Love you." And went to bed. He was doing something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise and I was like, "I don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep." And about midnight I got up and I went to bed. And 6 o'clock I went to wake him up for school Monday morning. And that's when he wasn't here.
Seth, you know Katie better than all of us, obviously. You know your son so well. Is there anything in that story that doesn't make sense to you?
The inconsistencies, from what I've heard before, none of it makes sense. Things aren't, I'm not here to sling mud, but why is she asking Chris to verify what she did on Sunday when Chris wasn't here on Sunday?
That is such...
Or the fact that she said that she heard a thump on another interview and didn't bother to check on our son. There's a difference between some noise or a thump. I mean, just the information that I receive from watching any of their podcasts don't make sense.
Seth, please stay with us. I have a few more questions, and I want to make sure everyone, why we're doing this is because there is a boy who is missing. Here's a dad who needs your help.
You know, folks, you can't. I know how everyone wants to look at this, and when I watched the interview or the short interview we just watched with the mother, I was a little concerned that she couldn't focus on looking at the camera, which, you know, as we always talk about, a sign of deception many times is not being able to look into the eyes of the person you're speaking to. And if you notice that even on this interview here, she doesn't seem to be able to look into the camera.
You know, if he's really upset, he like growls.
Seth, what are your thoughts about what we just saw?
They're describing my son when he was like 4 or 5.
He's different now.
Yeah.
Can you give us your routine now? I mean, I just get a sense that you're not sleeping much, that you are out searching, you're organizing, you're getting the word out. What is each day like for you? And what are your thoughts about where his...
Obviously, he's a very upset dad. He's totally involved in this, but I don't know if Vinnie Politan's going to get that out of him on television right now. But let's move on.
Join us next.
Look, I can't. Could there be something suspicious in this case? 100%. Have they uncovered it yet? No, they have not. Let me play a little bit of this of the search.
15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, despite the United Cajun Navy stopping its search because of alleged threats. Our Dryden quickly shares how community volunteers are now establishing their own search headquarters.
A community organized search party says it will start meeting every day from 9:30 to 6 to search for Sebastian Rogers, and they're asking for more volunteers. They're handing out flyers, a reminder for people to be on the lookout for the 15-year-old with autism who vanished from his home in Sumner County last month. Karen Strom has been involved since the day she heard he went missing.
I think every mom is looking at his face and seeing their own child, and they can't imagine sitting still. So we didn't sit still.
She's been knocking on doors, searching public places, and checking her yard twice a day. She says she knows it's making a difference.
There are people that we still come across that don't know who Sebastian is. And that is exactly why we need more people. We need people to share.
This comes after the United Cajun Navy stopped their search because they say their volunteers were receiving death threats. But this group says they're undeterred.
There's people that lurk and they stare, but we've not had any indication of any kind of threat ourselves.
And they aren't alone. The Uvalde Foundation for Kids has said they are sending an additional 18 volunteers to help. They said threats are not tolerated and will not stop the search.
Having a couple handfuls of people is a lot better than having nothing. And so every person that shows up is going to help.
Everyone is taking the day off from searching tomorrow to spend time with their families for Easter. It will resume at 9:30 on Monday morning near the Rudder in Hendersonville. Dryden Quigley, WSMV4.
So you can see the community is definitely plugged in. They're involved. They want to continue these searches. And I keep mentioning the tip lines, the tips that will come in within cases like this. So important because the eyes out there, it's the old expression we say it in New York all the time. If you see something, say something. And that is how many of these cases get solved. That someone sees something, someone finds something, someone walking through the woods and sees an article of clothing. There's someone calling anonymously to the sheriff's department. I'm going to show a little bit of the sheriff's office providing an update, a little press conference in regards to this case.
The investigation remains ongoing with steadfast support from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and many other local and federal resources. We are exploring every lead that comes in and every tip that comes in. As I said before, the investigation remains ongoing. The entire community is deeply saddened by what has occurred. We're all extremely concerned for Sebastian's welfare. I want to encourage the community to stay vigilant, to report anything that they think may be of some significance to the investigation, no matter how minute it may appear to be to you. Please call 1-800-TBI-FIND with any tips or the Sumner County Emergency Communications Center at 615-451-3838. We understand the anxiety and the concern that this case has caused in the community. We too share the anxiety and concern for Sebastian. I want to reiterate that we are doing everything we can to find Sebastian and bring him home. Despite the passage of time, the commitment to finding Sebastian remains unwavering. I said this when we scaled the search back. Our commitment to finding Sebastian remains. We will continue to investigate every possible lead that comes in. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office wants to express our gratitude to the community and the many individuals who have helped in the search, the many individuals who have called in tips, the many individuals who have printed flyers and kept Sebastian's face in the news. Nothing would make me happier than to wake up tomorrow morning with a tip that cracks this case wide open and we find Sebastian and bring him home. At this time, I'll turn it over to Susan Allen from the TBI.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for being here. We know how invested everybody is in the search for Sebastian, in finding out what happened to him and bringing him home. And we want to let everybody know he has not been forgotten. Nobody's forgotten about him. Nobody has given up looking for him. At the beginning of this investigation, there was a large land search for him. It was very visible. There were also waterways, lakes, ponds that were searched. There were aerial searches with helicopters and drones and fixed wing planes. They were done at night. They were done on weekends. They were done during the day. That was very visible, and it was something everybody was able to see. But we want to let you know that even though there is not that high visibility in investigating this case, that we are not done. It's gone back to what could be considered good old-fashioned police work. Interviewing individuals, re-interviewing individuals, checking out leads, rechecking leads. We have been working with other law enforcement agencies who have had, in other jurisdictions, who have perhaps had some complex cases of their own that they have worked on to get tips from them. We have had, this day of technology with everyone having cell phones and doorbells and ring bells and surveillance cameras. That, as you can imagine, has been a bit of a chore to be able to collect all those and then review them. It's important so we know what's out there. We have been reviewing that, reviewing it again. We have had.
Some of you guys, Kirsten Wright in the chat, back to basics, 100%. Something even in the most complex cases, when you hit a brick wall, what do? You start all over again. You start all over again. You read the case. You start re-interviewing people. Sometimes when you come up with new information, that's a really good time to go re-interview someone, to go question that person. Well, you said this at this time. Well, what do you mean? Because now you have new information. But so far from what I'm seeing, and unless the police, the investigators, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is withholding a lot of information, they're saying, all right, they could be saying it out loud and be saying other things in private, but they're saying there's no foul play here. So many of you guys, and sometimes the chat and the folks that watch true crime have pretty damn good instincts. And many of you guys in the chat are looking at the mom, Katie, right? And Chris Proudfoot. You're looking at them suspiciously, especially when it was brought to my attention that he hit him with a belt once. And then there's other underlying things that the Bureau of Child Welfare, Child Protective Services had a case on them. Does that mean anything? Yeah, it does. It does. It's always worth a second look when you see something like that, to look into it more and to wonder, it's the old expression, where there's smoke, there is fire. And is there fire here? Did Katie Proudfoot and Chris Proudfoot have anything to do with this? Did they have anything to do with the disappearance of this young boy? That's one of the things, and we don't know the answer to that yet because they don't have enough information. They don't have enough evidence right now to look in that direction, to say that there is foul play. They're not saying that, right? The search for Sebastian Rogers continues with no new leads. And that gets so frustrating because we have to just keep going on. You cannot give up. You got to keep searching. Because right here, this is the boy. This is the goal, is to find this boy, Sebastian Rogers, and for his heartbroken dad, Seth Rogers. And we have to pick up every rock and look under it and see what we find under that rock.
Add other agencies involved. The FBI has been helpful in that. Secret Service has also been helpful in that. So we are just trying to do whatever we can to advance the investigation. It has not gone to a place where anybody has forgotten about him or is not pursuing this. The parents have been cooperative throughout. At the beginning of the investigation, they have pretty much done whatever law enforcement has asked of them. At this point, we don't have any evidence. There is not any kind of an indication that there is a criminal element involved. But we are keeping options open. We don't know what has happened. We don't know where Sebastian is right now. So we are pursuing any and all avenues. We do want to caution there are some social media elements out there who purport to have information that is direct from the investigation. I just want to reiterate that is not the case. Some of the information that is being provided on some of the social media channels is inaccurate, incomplete. We don't want this to damage the investigation. So we would just caution anyone who is following the case to just use some caution as to what you see and what you believe.
I said earlier on that the report that they found his glasses, which turned out to be totally false. You got to be careful with that. Because if those were his glasses, that's very, very important, isn't it? That would be a piece of evidence that would put him in a certain location. But you have to wait to see what the results of that investigation were. And the results of that investigation of it being his glasses turned out not to be true. But they had to wait because I'm sure the way they verified that was a DNA test on his glasses. And so that's one of the things when she's talking about people online claim to have information that they're getting right from the investigators. Well, that happens not to be true.
It's caused a bit of a distraction because a lot of what has been out there in some of the social media channels has been rumors and speculations and theories, and some of that has been advanced and people have caught a hold of it as if it's what's really happening. That has resulted in us getting information that is either, like I said, distracting. It's taking away time and effort from what the agencies need to be doing as far as looking for Sebastian. We have had so far, as of this morning, 314 tips that have come in through the tip line. It's been mentioned, but I'll say it again. It's 1-800-TBI-FIND. We are also taking tips through email, which is tips to TBI, TBI, at tbi.tn.gov. What's next? We want people, as Chief Deputy said, to continue to remain vigilant, get Sebastian's picture out there, continue to share his picture, his information. Now that it's getting to be nicer, well, not today with the weather, but now that the weather has turned warmer, people may be more inclined to be in their yards. If you go out and see anything that looks different, let us know. Something where perhaps a teenager could have hidden. If you have a large amount of property in the area or something that has any kind of holes or unstable footing or ledges where a teen could have gone to hide or to play, and you don't feel comfortable checking it out, let us know. We'll get somebody from law enforcement to go out there with you or to check it out themselves. We just want to make sure that every stone is unturned, that there's no stone left unturned, that we want people to make sure that we are looking everywhere we can. We do want to continue to get the tips, but please don't provide information that you might have seen through social media channels. If you have information about,
it's so important to these tips and to verify every single tip that comes into a police department. The person has to be interviewed, and that information that they're giving has to be verified. And that's why it can become extremely voluminous when they get tips that are untrue or tips that were repeated for something someone heard. From the chat, Rosemary Gallagher, wondering if they interviewed the grandparents before they left for Alaska the day after he went missing. What grandparent does that? Rosemary, that's that's a thought. That's a thought, but we can't sort of moralize about what they did. Christina Phillips, the glasses look just like Sebastian Rogers' glasses, and being under his mother's van says more than we know. Why do they get away with everything? Who are they to be above the laws? Christina, they would verify something as important as finding glasses. The way they would verify that is through a DNA test. So it's not, you can be sure that if they tested it and his DNA wasn't on it, then that's how they verified that it wasn't his. Carmelita, Nancy Grace set up at the stepdad's convenience a poly test. He backed out a little. But something, why should a TV person be allowed to interview a potential principal in an investigation? That's not right. That's totally against all kinds of conduct rules. A TV person or a content creator should not be getting directly involved in the investigation that the police are involved in. That's no good. No bueno, as they say. That is absolutely no good. The shack lady, if the law enforcement tipped off Port of Entry on the way to Alaska, it would be legal to search wander if they suggest it while they are driving. You cannot search someone unless you have what's called reasonable suspicion. And I don't think that they have that at this instance. So they can't just search people for that. Mel Stiller, against rational thinking and common sense. Sometimes, and I have spoken out against this, Jade and Jen, they could take in to see prescription of glasses if they're in his prescription than DNA, but it would be fast to see the prescription. But the prescription wouldn't prove anything. It would just prove that it's the same prescription that he had. Doesn't say it is his prescription. You know, I've spoken out before when some content creators get too involved in an investigation and they cross that line as to what is reporting a story or getting involved in an area they have no business in. And I have spoken out against that before, and I would speak out against it at all. And then the thing with Nancy Grace, she has no right to call someone in to do a polygraph. She's not law enforcement. She's a content creator. She's on TV, and that crosses all lines, all boundaries that of journalistic integrity. Just no good. Mariam Dahuru Kano. I don't think they're putting a lot of pressure on the mom and the stepdad. Mariam, they can't until they have something that they can point their finger at, and something that they could say this is suspicious or this makes us want to interview them a little differently. This makes us want to interview them as suspects. And based on what we're hearing right now, we're not hearing that. We're not hearing that they're suspects. Ogadal, if law enforcement isn't doing it, then I'm all for Nancy getting it done. She's not allowed to get it done. That would be crossing the line of investigation. It would be tampering with evidence. That's what that would be doing. She could get arrested for doing that. She's not okay. It's not okay for her to do that. Carmelita, I hear you, Bill. Maybe her old prosecutorial ways were creeping in, but I hear you. Kate, innocent to proven guilty no matter what you think. Kate, 100%, but there is also integrity to an investigation. Police aren't just allowed to do things because they want to. There has to be evidentiary reasons, reasonable suspicion, and of course the level if someone's going to get arrested, probable cause. Serena, Bill, in your professional opinion, what do you think of a polygraph test? They aren't admissible in court, and some people know how to deceive them. Do you feel it's just to measure suspicion? Serena, I believe polygraph tests are useless, to tell you the truth, because as you just said, they're not admissible in court, right? And some people know how to beat them. Other people, they're inconclusive. So why we, a good detective doing a good interview can measure deception, can show someone's being deceptive. And then based on that deception, they start digging even more. The shack lady, the question is that concerns many is the fact that mom and stepdad left the home. It's very unusual for a parent to leave, especially out of state. The shack lady, you're preaching to the choir. I 100% agree with you. Is that suspicious? Is that against how most people would act? Yeah. CD from the chat. I wonder if neighbors have video of something, and that's why the neighbors are running people off and pissed off about the searching. If they knew CP and KP are hiding him, they may see this as a waste. Well, we don't know that anyone has come across or has video that will help in this investigation. Kate from the chat, the law enforcement needs to be careful. If they step over the line, they're the ones in trouble. 100%. Jesse Fry, Chris offered to take the polygraph if Nancy set it up. Well, something, I think that before they would allow that, Nancy Grace would be getting a call from law enforcement and telling her to back off. Dragonfly Lady, I would like to know what evidence law enforcement has to make them believe that Sebastian went missing from his mother's home. Well, one of the first things I spoke about when I started the show today was one of the procedures you do in a missing person case is one of the first things you do is search the house, which would include searching the room of Sebastian. Did they find anything in the room that was evidentiary? Did they find anything in the room that gave them concern? That's what I was talking about earlier when I said that.
Sebastian, about conversations you might have had with him, things he likes to do, places he liked to go, any people he may have mentioned that are in his life, that could be helpful in finding out maybe what he was interested in. finally, we want to thank the community. We want to thank the media. You guys have been really good about keeping his name in the public's eye. That's really important. And thank you for your diligence in providing that information out there. And as Chief Deputy said, we also want to thank the community. From the very first day, everybody has really been all in as far as whatever they can do to help in the search, to help pass information on, providing water for the teams that were out conducting the ground searches. So thank you again to everybody. I'm going to pass it back to Eric Credit.
The weather is rolling in. We've got time for some questions. So yes, ma'am.
This is an interview with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. They're going to now take some questions.
But has there been any indication at this point of foul play or anything of that nature?
There is no evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it out.
We're not ruling anything out.
So 5 weeks, and you guys covered so much ground, searching, going back, researching, checked out every case of a possible sighting, nothing confirmed, not a trace of Sebastian anywhere, nothing.
I just want to mention the shack lady, a good question. Regarding a missing child, isn't it a valid reason to pull a warrant to research the home again, or reasonable rule out foul play, especially after a month-long missing? The shack lady, the initial search is not the initial search of the house is not a search to discover evidence. It's a search to discover the child. So if they were now going to search the house for evidence, they would need a search warrant. They couldn't just search the house because they are suspicious. And we know that the standard of proof to get a search warrant is probable cause. It's the same standard of proof necessary to arrest someone. And probable cause for an arrest is facts and circumstances that would allow a reasonable person to believe that a crime has been committed and the person being arrested committed the crime. So apply that to the search of a home, probable cause against the home, that there's some criminal activity in the home or evidence thereof. So they can't just, if they presented the facts to a judge now and said, oh, this is the home of the kid, Sebastian Rogers, that's been missing now for 5 weeks. We want to search the house. The judge would say, well, what probable cause do you have to search the home? And if they couldn't articulate probable cause, the judge would say, well, I'm not writing a search warrant. You don't have probable cause. So I just wanted to point that out. You need probable cause for a search warrant.
Footprints, no video, nothing.
Nothing that is taking us to locate Sebastian.
And are there any working theories?
We come up with theories almost daily and try and investigate and make sure that we're doing everything we can to find Sebastian.
Share any of those?
No, sir.
2 questions, if I may. Have you ruled out Sebastian's mom and stepdad's involvement in this case? And as a follow-up, have you cleared their alibi?
I think the TBI said it best. They've been nothing but cooperative with law enforcement since day one of this investigation. There is no evidence to support foul play on the part of Sebastian's parents.
Is that moving to Memphis interfering at all with your investigation? Is it changing possibly the avenues of communication?
No, sir.
You mentioned when you were asked about recent evidence, we heard some rumors that there received past validity, that there were glasses found within the past few days. Can you confirm that?
There were some glasses found in the past few days.
Or have you been able to identify that they were Sebastian?
We are still investigating.
And on the Cajun Navy, have you found how is that coordination happening? Have you found their work helpful? Are you guys working in unison or a separate team?
The Cajun Navy is operating independently. They have not reached out to us.
Have you found their investigation or their work helpful, or has it been one of the distractions that have been mentioned?
One of the things that I really appreciate they've done is print flyers and keep Sebastian's face out there. It's my hope that one day somebody sees something and calls in and this case breaks wide open and we find Sebastian.
They've claimed they've received threats. To your knowledge, have they filed any police reports or reports to the Sheriff's Department documenting any of these alleged threats?
No, sir. they would have to call the police and report them.
Where does the search go from here? It's been 5 weeks, there's been no signs. Do you believe?
So this is the press conference with Sumner County, and they're answering questions from the press. They really, someone asked from the chat before, why did they give a press conference if there was no new information? Well, because everyone out there wants to know something, right? They want to hear if they have any information. And if they're coming forth with no new information, basically, is that satisfying the public? Is that satisfying people that want to hear? He also mentioned that this was prior to them determining that those glasses were not Sebastian's. So he said that we're trying to determine it, but apparently that's been determined now that was not his glasses. Infamous truth teller, police off the cuff. This has gotten insanely out of control. And for them to disparage and cause the chaos that they did, I totaled it up, was 281,000 subscribers that they reached just 3. I don't know. Infamous truth teller, it seems like your post ended without coming to a conclusion. If you want to continue, okay, there. Creators causing the chaos. Oh, okay. So, infamous truth teller, what you're saying is that many YouTube content creators are creating the chaos online and trying to give information that perhaps hasn't been vetted, that perhaps might not be true. So all of those things that, I think that people that do this, myself included, I think you have a certain responsibility to not report things that are unvetted, things that are untrue. I make mistakes all the time because the nature of this is that it's a fast-moving thing. And sometimes a lot of the information we do get can be secondhand from the press, but third-hand, fourth-hand stuff that's unvetted. Yes, infamous truth teller, thank you for that. Yeah, look, as I'm sort of answering that right now, is that I think we as content creators, myself, police off the cuff, I have my own channel. I have a responsibility not to report things that are unvetted, that are untrue. Nick Hummer, can't police the internet, want social media help, or don't, have not to take the good with the bad. Nick Hummer, you're right, but I can speak out and say some channels need to have take some responsibility and some integrity, and don't report things that aren't true. That Bonnie Google, Duty Ron, and covered this so well yesterday. EquiSearch Midwest are there, and our friends of Duty on. Yeah, well, Ed Wallace and Duty Ron, they do a good job. EquiSearch, fantastic organization. I don't know why or if they're involved in this search yet. They usually don't get involved unless they're asked, and many times the police will be reluctant to use them. But they're a fantastic organization. Dragonfly Lady, it's so ridiculous how some creators turn a missing child case into a soap opera. It really aggravates me. Well, Dragonfly Lady, I did this for real, all right? I did 27 years with the NYPD. I was a boss, a sergeant in homicide for my last 10 years in the biggest police department on this earth. And I worked in Manhattan North, which was one of the premier homicide squads in the entire country. And so I don't need to make up stories, Pamela, stepdad confirmed use of a belt himself. Yes, Pamela, we verified that before. That also the Bureau of Child Welfare had a case on that. And so, yes, that's been verified. Would that give me pause to look more deeply into them? Absolutely. I would always keep that in my back pocket, that was done. And that's not a star on your report card. That's a demerit, Dragonfly Lady, that was not in reference to you, Bill. Thank you for your truthfulness. Chris Courtois, I guess it is. Hi, everyone. Just curious. They say no doorbell video or other CCV in area of him leaving home in the so-called time frame he came up missing if that was actually the date. You know, Chris, the police, one of the things that they do exhaustively is something called a canvas. And a canvas can be a door-to-door where you actually speak to people, or a door-to-door video canvas. Do you have video? Can we take a look at it? Can we check it out? That is exhausting because, you know, you can also extend that canvas to the route where Sebastian most likely took to walk away from his home. And that is how we find valuable evidence, valuable information that potentially could help solve this case. Snowflake's nightmare. What would the HIPAA have to do with not taking a polygraph? Snowflake's nightmare? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't know if he's making that up or what, but no, that shouldn't have anything to do with that. Let me finish up the press conference here.
He's still alive, and what are you guys going to continue working on?
My hope and prayer is that Sebastian is still alive. Yes. We're going to continue to work on this investigation, follow up every tip and lead that comes in. Some of this may revert back to us going over some things that we've already done for the 6th, 7th, or 8th time. A fresh set of eyes never hurt anything. We're going to continue to work to find Sebastian.
Has the story been changing at all as you've been talking with people, interviewing them for a second time possibly?
There is no evidence to support foul play.
Are there any active currently that you guys are pursuing?
We have tips called in daily.
Any of those tips seem legitimate enough to expand law enforcement resources?
Regardless of their legitimacy, we're going to follow up on them.
Will there be any other agencies pulled in to help in the search efforts for this case?
I'm certain there will be.
You met with the biological father and mother this past week. Is that at their request, your request? Is that just re-interviewing them again?
That was at the request of law enforcement. It's not uncommon to talk to the family in investigations like this. I've got time for one more question.
Just overall, how has this investigation impacted the morale at your department, especially with all the scrutiny coming online?
Let me put it to you like this. If my kid was missing, this is the team I'd want on it. The men and women of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the FBI partners, the other local agencies, the Secret Service, everyone who's had a hand in this case is doing everything they can to find Sebastian. Morale's high. We are here and we are dedicated. Thank you all for being here.
Well, that's obviously what you want to hear. They're dedicated. They're doing their job. They're not giving up. Someone in the chat mentioned Dave Rader from EquiSearch, and apparently, according to that, EquiSearch was invited by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, confirmed by Dave Rader on Duty Run show yesterday. That's great. Dave Rader is a friend of mine. I have nothing but respect for EquiSearch. They're unbelievable. They do an unbelievable job, tireless, and they're volunteers, which is unbelievable. And they go out around this country searching for missing kids. And as I said, I can't say enough about Dave Rader and that organization. Just absolutely fantastic. Folks, if you're looking for true crime, real crime from a police perspective, then you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, share us with your friends and your family. Make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to contribute to us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. And we also have a YouTube channel membership with, count them, 5 different levels. And you could help us out financially by becoming a Police Off the Cuff YouTube channel member or a Patreon member. And we really appreciate all our friends, our fans, our people that follow us. And that's what helps us keep this show going. Also, folks, if you're looking for a great attorney in the New York metropolitan area, then Joe Murray is your man. Joe's a retired NYPD police officer and also a fantastic defense attorney. You can reach Joe on his cell phone, 718-514-3855. Email him at joe@jmurray-law.com. Go on his website, jmurray-law.com. Not only is Joe a fantastic defense attorney, but a huge supporter of the Police Off the Cuff podcast. Folks, that's about the show for today. I came in a little bit late on this show. I'll go into the chat. Snowflake's Nightmare. Seth mentioned last night He is taking a polygraph that Nancy Grace has set up for him next Wednesday. He said he will take it. He doesn't want HIPAA to not allow him. I found that extremely odd. I find it extremely odd that Nancy Grace is getting involved in that. I just, and as I said, if I was law enforcement, I would stop it. I would stop her from doing that because I think it's interfering with an investigation. And I don't know what you guys feel about that. That's my feelings. And I think it's not right that a content creator injects themselves into a sensitive investigation like this. And infamous truth teller, absolutely love EquiSearch. They're extremely busy, good-hearted, and selfless individuals. Infamous truth teller, you're 2 for 2. You hit it on the head twice. You're so correct. Angelia Donna, thank you for the green hearts. Lulu Dixon, there was a huge construction area going on in their neighborhood. Who knows how many strangers come and go through there daily. Kate, new member, welcome to the Police Off the Cuff family. Kate, thank you so much for joining our family. Infamous truth teller, no, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the show. For MAGA, I agree. Snowflake's Nightmare. I watched a 2 hours interview with Seth last night. Dragonfly Lady, it's an open investigation. Law enforcement should be the one administering a polygraph, not a YouTube content creator, in my opinion. Dragonfly Lady, you're preaching to the choir. I totally agree with you. Folks, anyway, that's our show for today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. Have a great day, everyone, and God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.